Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Greetings from Beth Rambam. I want to wish you all a beautiful Shabbat, and Hashem should continue to protect us, our community, our city, and all of Klal Yisrael. We should not know any more tzarot, and I should keep you all healthy and well b'toch kol Am Yisrael. And God willing, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishlach refuah shelema lechol cholei amo, recovery to all those who are sick. This Shabbat is Shabbat Hagadol. So I want to share with you an idea about Pesach. You know, we drink 4 kosot during the Seder. And the main reason that's brought down, that we all know, is the Pasuk describes 4 different levels of redemption, 4 languages of redemption. Vehotzeti, vehitzalti, vega'alti, velakachti. Describing 4 letters on a ladder going up to redemption. But the Yerushalmi says something fascinating. The Yerushalmi brings a different idea why we drink 4 cups. And he says, you want to know why we drink 4 cups? Because when Yosef was in prison in Egypt, and he was sitting there for 10 years, the butler has a dream. And in his dream, he sees himself holding kos paro, the cup of paro. And it mentions kos paro 4 times in the dream. He says, that's why we drink 4 cups of wine. Think about it. What in the world does that have to do with anything? Because in the prison, the butler has a dream, and he's holding kos paro, and it says kos paro 4 times. We drink 4 cups. But if you look through the Haggadah, there are hints to Yosef in many places. Rabbeinu Manuach writes, he's a commentary on Maimonides on the Rambam. You know why we eat karpas? He says, I want to tell you. The whole Haggadah describes to us how we left Mitzrayim, the wonders and miracles that Hashem did for us to take us out and redeem us. But we don't discuss how we got there. What brought us down to Egypt in the first place? He says, Karpas answers that question. Karpas stands for Ketonet Pasim, that coat of Yosef. That coat that Yaakov gives Yosef was called Ketonet Pasim. That's Ketonet Karpas. And he says, you want to know why we got down to Egypt? It's because Yosef's hatred for their brother, which was the catalyst, was that coat. And that because they sold him. And they take that coat off him and they dip it in blood. So we take the karpas and we also dip it here in salt water to remind us of why we are here, why we're in Egypt. But there's another hint to Yosef. This Gemara in Pesachim, the end of the 5th perek. The Gemara says something very interesting. He says, Gemara's bothered, how did they get the Korban Pesach home? We're all there on the Temple Mount, Har HaBayit, the Bet HaMikdash. We slaughtered the Korban Pesach. How do we get that sheep home? So the Gemara says, you know how they got it home? The Gemara says they would skin the animal. They would put the animal within the skin, put it over their shoulders, and they would carry it. You know how? Like Arab merchants, Rashi explains. Why is it important for us to know how they carried the Korban Pesach home? You know what the answer is? How was Yosef carried down to Egypt? Arab merchants carried him down. Before we even leave the Bet HaMikdash, the Torah is reminding us, you know how you got here? Why you're in Egypt and had to bring a Korban Pesach? Because of what happened to Yosef, he was sold as a slave. So before we leave the Midrash, we remind ourselves, the same way Yosef got down to Egypt, that's how we're carrying our Korban Pesach home. So on one level, the hint of the Haggadah is, remember why we're in Galut. Remember why we're in exile. Because as Jews, we couldn't get along. So as we're here, separated from the rest of the Jewish people, there's definitely a lesson for us. If we want to come together as a community, as a nation, as a people, we have to love one another. But I think there's another deeper idea going on here in the Haggadah. We asked about the 4 cups of wine. What in the world does that have to do with the butler's dream in the prison that he sees 4 cups of wine? If you think about it, what was the catalyst that got Yosef out of prison ultimately? 2 years later, After 12 years, Yosef in prison, Butler remembers, there's this Jew in prison who interpreted my dream. Paro, maybe he can interpret yours. And Paro calls him out of prison, and he becomes ultimately the second in command. But if you look at Yosef's life was full of ups and downs. There wasn't a steady climb of redemption. He was beloved by his father, but hated by his brothers. And they sold him into slavery. He gets to Egypt, and Potiphar buys him, and ultimately makes him the head of the household, and he's on top again. But then the story with Potiphar's wife comes, and he's put in prison. He wallows there for 10, 12 years. He's wallowing there in Egyptian prison. There's no lower place he could be on earth. But then immediately, the redemption comes. And Paro, Yosef is taken out of prison. And he becomes the second in command to Egypt, the superpower of the world. See, that's life. Life is an uphill battle. It's not a straight climb. But we have ups and downs. We have period of highs and period of lows. That's the path to redemption. It's not always about 4 steps of redemption going smoothly up a ladder. But redemption that we experience as a nation is full of ups and downs. And unfortunately, we're in a down now. We're in a down. But I want to share with you a Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. See, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu appears to Moshe Rabbeinu in the burning bush, and he tells him, go redeem the Jewish people, Moshe's reaction is, God, not me. At first glance, it's mind-blowing. First of all, God told you to go. What do you mean, no? But more than that, his brethren are suffering in Egypt. Here you have an opportunity to go redeem them. What do you mean, no? You don't care about your brethren? Moshe, the one who stood for them his whole life. So Eliezer says something fascinating. When Moshe says, Shelach na biyat tishlach, send a messenger, don't send me. What he's asking was, send Eliyahu Hanavi, don't send me. Why are you sending me? I know if you send me, what's going to happen? We're going to go, we're going to be redeemed, we're going to be in Israel, but then you're going to destroy us, the temple, and send us out of Israel. And then you're going to bring us back and build the Bet HaMikdash, but ultimately you're going to destroy that again. We're going to go back to exile. And life's going to be full of ups and downs. Let's have the redemption now. Why go through this process? And Hashem says, Moshe, no, that's not how it works. Redemption is a process of ups and downs. Life is about ups and downs and challenges. It's not always up. That's the message for us. We're now in a down. Jewish people are suffering. Our brethren, unfortunately, are dying. Many are sick, struggling economically and financially. We're facing difficult times. But we sit there on our Pesach Seder, if we don't merit to do it in Eretz Yisrael with Mashiach. And many of us are alone, or with a small family unit. When we drink those 4 cups, remember those 4 cups are not just reminding of the freedom from Egypt that was a steady climb, but reminding us of the cups of Paro that Yosef saw in prison. That even though he was wallowing in prison, those cups are a catalyst to his redemption. And redemption has ups and downs. It's not always up. And B'ezrat Hashem, as we drink those 4 cups, we may feel like, in a sense, we're in a prison of our homes. But remember, that night of Pesach in Egypt, we were all prisoners of our homes. But the following morning, we were redeemed. B'ezrat Hashem, this Pesach will be our redemption. So remember that when we're drinking those 4 cups. Shabbat Shalom.